The Adrian Peterson Minnesota Vikings saga continues. Although Peterson was reinstated by the NFL, don't expect him to be on the field just yet. I'm Antonita Collins, and I'm joined by ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano. Now, Dan, the Vikings begin their offseason workouts, and as years past have shown us, Peterson doesn't usually show up on the first day of these workouts. How much should we be reading into this?
Probably nothing, but we're going to because of the situation with Adrian Peterson and the Vikings in light of the suspension and all the stuff that went on with him and his child abuse charges that he faced last year. Peterson isn't happy with the way the Vikings handled that situation. We could go on and on and on about how much they should or shouldn't have supported Adrian Peterson in light of the charges against him. But the fact is, from his perspective, he believes he's been mistreated to a certain extent by the Vikings organization. So the fact that he's not there for these voluntary workouts may not mean anything, but it kind of offers a chance to discuss the Peterson story and the eventualities of where it might lead. Certainly if he had shown up, it would have been a pleasant surprise and would have been a positive indication of maybe a change in his feelings toward the organization. So while it doesn't actually mean anything on the face of it, it's sort of the next evolution in the story, a story that everyone's waiting to see how it ends with Adrian Peterson and the Vikings.
And Dan, you mentioned feelings. Peterson and his agent have made it clear that they don't want to be in Minnesota. The Vikings, on the other hand, have made it clear that he is under contract. We're at a roadblock. What is the most likely outcome?
The most likely outcome is that he's stuck with them and they're stuck with him, and there'll probably be some sort of smoothing over of feelings, some sort of the Vikings have made an outreach to Adrian Peterson and sort of made it clear with comments from ownership and the coaching staff and the GM that they want him back. So it's on him now to kind of thaw out and come back toward them. But I think he's stuck there. I don't see how there's going to be a team out there that's going to give the Vikings what they would want in return for Adrian Peterson and also take on his very, very large contract. He's $12.75 million salary this year and a $15.4 million cap hit this year, and then he's got 2 more years left after this at very big money. So I don't see how there's a deal out there unless he's willing to take less money, adjust his contract, and so far he hasn't made it clear that he's willing to do that.
Dan, what about Dallas? It was reported that prior to last season, Peterson called Jerry Jones telling him he liked to play for the Cowboys. If he were to get out of Minnesota, do you think he could end up back in his home state?
I think it's unlikely. If there were some sort of change from the Vikings standpoint and they were willing to move him, or if he were to make it easier for them to move him by agreeing to adjust his contract, Dallas would be one of the teams that would want to be in the mix, along with the Arizona Cardinals, who have been mentioned prominently as a team with a significant need and a strong roster elsewhere and a team for which Adrian Peterson might like to play. So you would watch those two teams if something changed. But something would have to change dramatically in order for Adrian Peterson to actually end up on the trading block. And I would think at this point, a team like the Dallas Cowboys is much more focused on finding a starting running back in the draft next week.
Once again, ESPN NFL insider Dan Graziano with a perspective. For more on Adrian Peterson and the Vikings, head over to our NFL page right here on ESPN.com.